Hi everybody, welcome to John Sadler's Auto Repair. And today we're working on a 2000 Mercury Mystique. It's got a 2.5 liter. It's this vehicle we have on the left right up here. And it's in here for numerous repairs. Last month it was in because it was losing power, not running good, and we did a current ramp scope picture of the fuel pump, and the fuel pump was electronically failing. So it's in here for a fuel pump, an oil change, wiper blades, and just a miscellaneous repairs. So the first thing we did is when the customer came in, I get the customer to write me little notes, what they'd like to have done, so I get them involved with their vehicle by writing things about it. And I kind of write down in a nutshell from that, we're going to do the fuel pump, an oil service, wiper blades, I have done next to it because I've already done that part. And then we're going to look for a heat shield for underneath. So the first thing we did is the fuel pump. And this is the old fuel pump that we took out, and we took this housing out. And one thing I noticed is the pickup tube on the bottom of the tank, the screen here, is all bent up like this. That's because it was stuck inside this housing on the vehicle. When you get the new fuel pump from Ford, it has instructions to come with the new pump. This pump has been replaced once before. This piece is supposed to be cut out before this pump gets installed. So, this person had a problem since 2006 when that job was done and getting worse gas mileage. Now we're at 2013. And the reason she got worse gas mileage is the engine was starving to get fuel up there because this was smashed in here. No matter which way you rotate it in there, it's getting a very limited amount of fuel. And if you look at the new pump that we got, you can see the difference, how it's it's flat. And that's how it's supposed to be. So that's how you tell, that's one of the issues that we found. So tomorrow morning we're going to put that back in, and we have the fuel tank here when we put the new pump on it. So now we're going to do an oil service on it, and come on over here. Okay, so one of the services we're going to do is an oil change, also on our list. Also on the list is we're going to do check for an oil leak. So if you look around this area, you can see there's quite a bit of oil, and she was complaining about smelling oil, and there's oil leaking on the exhaust heat shield of the header pipe. And so what we found out is this oil pan gasket, it has a lower pan and an upper pan. The lower pan gasket is bad and leaking oil, and it's leaking all over this heat shield. So she can't get that fixed at this particular service, but now we're going to go ahead and do an oil change because she wanted that done too. So we'll take our drain plug out here. Now I don't know why they put the exhaust pipe right next to the oil drain plug, but okay. So you can see that's fairly dirty. Okay, so next we're going to get the oil filter off, the old one. And it's up here in the side of the engine. And one of the things I want to show you is this filter is physically really small, as you can see. So I looked up what filter this vehicle is supposed to take. And here's the filter that's supposed to go in the vehicle. So what filter would you have on your car? A little tiny one that's easy to replace, or a bigger one with a higher quality that can handle more filtration and do a better job? This is the one that the book calls for. This part number crosses over to this number. But I'd rather have a bigger filter, and I think you would too. So this is one of the things that an oil change place did to her car. So that's some of the differences you'll find between a repair shop that does good quality work and then just an oil change place. So now our oil is all drained out. It's just a small minimal amount coming out. We're going to clean off the little area where the plug goes. There's a nice O-ring on here, and that's still in good condition. So now we're going to reinstall our oil drain plug. And most oil drain plugs on most of the cars have a torque of anywhere from like 18 foot-pounds to like 28 foot-pounds. Some other vehicles have a little higher. We picked a setting of about 23 foot-pounds is where we set it most of our drain plugs. This is a real tight area, so we have to use an angle socket in here. I don't know if everyone knows this, but when you see a lot of people pushing on things with automotive, the human body muscles are designed to pull. So whenever you're doing any automotive repair work, you always want to pull on things. So we're going to torque this, and it's going to make that clicking sound. And that's 23 foot-pounds. And we know that's set to, it's not going to have a problem with coming loose or being too tight or too loose. So now we want to see what kind of oil to use, and we have ALLDATA software is what we use. And so we have this vehicle from earlier today, 2000 Mercury Mystique, 2.5 liter. And we're going to go to the maintenance section, and we're going to go to fluids and engine oil, specifications, and the fluid types. Okay, it calls for an SAE 520 weight. And let's see the capacity. And the capacity with filter is 5.5 quarts. Now we're going to install our oil filter. And what we want to do is it has a rubber ring on the filter. And we want to just take a slight amount of oil and just rub it right on that rubber ring. And we've already cleaned the area where the filter is going to go. So now we're going to install the filter, and you can see it's nice and clean. The area where the filter screws on. And once the filter matches the base where it is now, you're supposed to go a half a turn more. Okay, there's our oil filter. Okay, now we're going to check all the tire pressures. On this particular car, we should have 35 pounds in these tires. And we have 30 psi, so we're 5 pounds low. One thing we do here at John Southers is we check all the tires when we do, well, look at that, right on 35. We do all the tires in the cars. A lot of oil change places will just change the oil and filter and nothing else. So that's why we're making this video, to show you what a real oil change consists of. And one thing we're looking for too is this tire had 30 also. If you had a tire that had 22 pounds or something in it, then you know that tire had a leak or has a leak. And then you want to inspect it for a nail or something like that causing the leak. Okay, so we got the oil down, we had the drain plug torqued to 23 foot-pounds, we got a new filter on there, the proper size, and now we got, I used castor oil, we got the right weight, 520, so it's going to take 5.5 quarts. Okay, we have our 5.5 quarts oil in, and now we're going to look over the rest of the vehicle a little bit. We can see the coolant here is at the level where it's supposed to be, and it has a green type coolant in it, so that looks good. Then we come over here, oh boy, look at the battery. Both battery cables should look like this. This has got a huge amount of corrosion growing up on here. What I'm going to do tomorrow morning is I'll pull this car out when I put the fuel pump back in it, and I'll clean all this corrosion. I'll pour some baking soda and water, clean all this off, open that terminal up and clean it inside. So next we're going to look at the brake fluid, and we're going to go to the side of the housing here. It's hard to see what the level is at. And this vehicle has too much brake fluid in it. Can you see that rocking motion there? See the rocking motion where that fluid is? This fluid is all the way to the full top of the reservoir. Down on the side of this housing, there's a line here that says max. And there's a little arrow right there. That's as full as the brake fluid should ever be. So by somebody overfilling this reservoir, this brake fluid will expand when it gets hot. So the brakes are actually going to work worse by having too much fluid in it. So I'm not sure who did that, but that is not the way it's supposed to be. Next, we're going to take a look at the power steering fluid. And it's kind of tough to see because it's down inside of a reservoir here. But the level is full, and we'll check the quality of the fluid. And the fluid's nice and clear, so the fluid's good quality. It doesn't have any burnt smell to it, so the power steering fluid's in good condition. Okay, the next fluid we're going to check is the windshield washer fluid. And that goes in this little container here in the front. We'll remove the cap off that. That fluid's pretty low. A lot of places put water in. You can request windshield washer fluid, and that's what we always use as windshield washer fluid. It costs $2 a gallon, and then we just go by that. But you have to request it. Most places will just put water. The reason we don't use water is because water is very corrosive, and there's a pump in there that pumps the washer fluid, and if it's pumping water all the time, it'll start clogging up inside the lines and you won't have a good spray pattern. Okay, the last fluid we have is automatic transmission fluid. So obviously we can't start this engine because we have the gas tank out right now, but we can pull the stick up and just look at the quality of the fluid, and then tomorrow when I put the gas tank back in, I can go from the rest of it. So, we can see the fluid's red. It doesn't smell burnt. The main thing you're looking for is you want the fluid to be a red color. You don't want to have any burnt smell. Obviously the level we'll check tomorrow, but as far as the quality of the fluid's a great quality. And most sticks will have a name on it of what kind of fluid it takes inside there. So this says to use Mercon fluid is what it calls for. So most of your automatic transmissions will actually say on the stick what type of fluid it takes. So that's just a little tip from John Sadler's. We're going to put the gas tank back in tomorrow after we install the fuel pump. We found the oil leak, we put new wiper blades on, we've done an oil service, we've checked all the fluids, we've put all the proper tire pressures in. So those customers to be very happy with their car. So thanks for watching and see you next time.